one thing that seems to be the case is that, at least for Latin, the one idea is that it's developed to differentiate between the different cases for verbs. So I'm not sure why it comes to have. I'm not sure why it comes to be called masculine, feminine, and neuter, but they seem to indicate the sort of suffixes that determine the declensions and conjugations, rather than seeming to have some sort of, I suppose, psychological, some sort of attribute of humanness in being something associated with man or woman, or sort of like a neuter thing. So I'm not sure, but there's actually a video. I don't fully understand it, but there's a man called Luke Ranieri. He's an American Italian, who's really proficient in Latin and ancient Greek, and he has a video that explains how, at least in Latin, the case seems to be that they're developed as categories, if that makes any sense, to differentiate verb groups. But I don't know if that's helped much.
Yeah, like, do you think that different cultures, so for instance, if we look at Japanese culture, there is a lot of, it's not so much, it's maybe become a thing in Western culture for us to do that more, but there is still a masculine and feminine energy as they understand it, but it is not necessarily spoken about in and like different things have genders, and or I don't know what to call it really, but it does have genders. And something I looked at a couple of years ago, I haven't looked at it in a while because it's not really something I've been interested in a long time, but something that we can consider is how different cultures, because language development is dependent on that culture and whatever, and how different cultures developed those languages around that. For instance, in Zulu, there is no real like gendered language. And so that is definitely worth considering. And in terms of language development and language change, even in English, just give me a sec. Even in English, in the last 40 or so years, maybe 30 years, there has definitely been a change in like how gender should be defined in English, right? By, I don't know, just different groups, and not just gender definitions as in people, but like in all aspects. Because okay, let's put it this way: does English, so I'm not talking about like gender as in he's a man, she's a woman type of vibe. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like from a linguistic standpoint. Where does English show any gender? Does it? Let's ask, does it?
In some words, maybe, I think. So, I don't know about this example, but these prints in these princess, now there's a distinct difference between the two, and you could say the ESS is how it's shown, however, it's no longer categorized as like the male-female split. It's more perhaps a remnant of the way it used to be. But beyond that, I'm unsure.
Okay, so we have like waiter, waitron, waitress, but that isn't strictly gendered, right? Or it's not, it's gendered as in people, but not linguistically. Okay, so if that is a thing, we have, so English doesn't really have a grammatical gender. But if we look at French, French does have a grammatical gender. We all know this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because English doesn't necessarily have a grammatical gender, this is to do with paper 4 for a moment. English as a global language. And because English doesn't really have that grammatical gender, I think both of you were kind of like saying that. We as English people try to force that on other languages, right? Or you don't have to agree with me, but I find that English people sometimes try to force that on other languages. Like if you try to, how do you divorce in French gendered gendered grammar and gender as in a person's gender as a social construct, and so it's kind of difficult, and so it does play into it's affected by culture, it's affected by basically the place that people are in. So I want to ask you, okay, in any of your languages that you guys are researching right now, are there any that do have a grammatical gender? Any of the created language, the conlangs? Any of them?
Not mine, to my current knowledge.
Okay.
Same for me.
Yeah, in mine, most of them are actually quite neutral, so there isn't really like a sexual gender in Klingons.
Yeah, in Esperanto, it's just one. It's like a neutral. There's no either or. It's just one tense.
Okay. So I did Greek, and in Greek, everything is gendered. And it was interesting because in Greek, things are gendered according to their strength almost. So if they're seen as strong and manly, then they are masculine. And this isn't always the case, but it is often the case. Okay? And yeah, it was a very fun time. It did destroy my brain a little bit studying it, but I've always wondered how different languages developed and what caused them to develop in a way that makes some languages have genders and some languages not have genders. And I know it's like a cultural thing and whatever, and the gender isn't necessarily like it's not like gender like people gender, as I'm sure you understand now. Anyway, I'm done on that tangent. I'm just looking for this document quickly. Oh. I think it should be here. My gosh. Here we go. Found it, sorry. Okay, Tolkien's language creation process. Who knows anything about Tolkien's language creation process?
I think aside from the most kind of basic comments, I would have to say, I know obviously his influence. He has multiple influences. One of like Welsh, Latin, Greek, etc. I wouldn't be able to necessarily say enough about the sort of conscious process of it yet.
Okay.
From what I've read,
Yeah.
Tolkien really liked the way Welsh sounded when spoken. However, for the grammar and all the rules of the language, he really liked the way Finnish functioned. And so, I mean, that's all I know about that.
Well, there are different languages that he created, because he created multiple languages, and different languages that he created were really like different. Let me just show you this. Okay, so the different languages he created all had different roots. So we've got Kuzdal. I haven't fact checked this much, but from the research it said that it's like Semitic languages like Hebrew and Aramaic, but because he didn't fully explore Kuzdal, we can't be really sure what it was all about. But if we look at our Quenya, for instance. Aren't you doing Quenya, Xavier?
Doing Sindarin.
Oh, you're doing Sindarin. I had it written here somewhere. I can't remember. Maybe I... Oh, there. Influenced by the Finnish and Latin. So that's the Quenya. And then the Sindarin is mostly Welsh. We've got... Okay, that's... The Kuzdal is... What did we say that was? Hebrew and Arabic. I didn't say it for this one. So yeah, he did have quite a few different, because he had so many languages, and I think honestly he probably just started and then like he was on a roll, and so he just kept going. That is my opinion of that. What do you guys think? Do you think that's accurate?
I think so. I think he made a hobby out of it.
Yeah.
And it grew from there.
So his process. So it started at the inception, and this was in his youth. He started for fun, and his first attempt when he was a teenager. Okay? So his first languages were like Nevbosh and Nafaran. I think there was one more. And they were mostly playful. Okay? He was just playing around. He was just having fun. He got a lot of his inspiration from, like you said, Finnish had a significant influence on Quenya, one of the Elvish languages, and Sindarin from Welsh. And then he had the Old Norse, the Old English, and other Germanic languages. But they're not direct copies of the inspirations, but unique creations. So they don't have the same structures. They don't work the same. Okay? So he often started with the phonetics, okay? He, like, I don't know if you compare the language of the orcs to the language of the elves, the languages of the elves, well, the ones that you, I don't know, probably the best way to hear it is on in the movies? I don't know. But even if you read it like read, you can see that it is the languages of the elves are more melodic, whereas the orcs are harsh, and it's representative of their societies and where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he started with the phonetics. He had a keen ear for the musical qualities of language and chose sounds that he found appealing. He spoke of the salad door phenomenon, So the idea that certain word sounds or phrases can be inherently beautiful outside their meaning. Can you guys think of any words that you find beautiful?
Affluent, for some reason, to me is just very nice sounding.
I like Fabergé. I don't even know what Fabergé is. Is that even a word? Let's see. I think it's a brand, guys. Fabergé. Oh, there, Fabergé. Fabergé egg. Okay, Fabergé. I thought it was Fabergé. Imagine. I like Fabergé more, honestly, in terms of sound. But an Afrikaans one I like the sound of is welgeluk salig. It's, yeah, I just dig that word. So he liked words that have a nice sound to them. Okay. He was all for that aesthetic. Then in terms of his grammar and vocab, each of his languages had very detailed grammars. It had morphology, syntax, and semantics. He didn't just copy English. Okay, he had extensive vocabularies. His languages included a variety of word formation techniques such as compounding, derivation, and inflection. So it was a very he made complex languages, not just simple languages. He really put everything together. So in the same, just like real world languages, Tolkien's languages evolved over time. Okay. He was constantly revising. He was constantly developing. Okay. And as he was developing, he was integrating it with the world building, and as things happen in the world building, those impacted the language because it was an experiment. He was basically imagining those languages in that world, and so that world had to have an impact on those languages. It's psychological. It's beautiful. Okay. And he continuously changed, built on it. So the purpose of conlangs, artistic expression. Okay, that's a big one. International communication, like Esperanto. Do any of you know anything about Esperanto? Well, we know you do know some. Ethan, if you want to share with some of us. What's going on? Why are you guys all so quiet today? My gosh. Am I just not able to hear you? What's going on? Oh wait, I might not be able to hear you. Sorry. What is going on? Okay, that is fun. Can you guys hear me now? Hello? Oh. Wait, what is going on? Okay, it seems I accidentally put my volume all the way down. I thought it was maybe my speakers that were unplugged or something. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Or no?
You can't hear us.
I don't know if you said no as a joke. Okay, you're still not saying anything, so I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can.
Hello?
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 Okay.
Can you hear
I'm
us
gonna
now?
close Discord and open it again. Let me try that.
Sure.
Babe, can you help me?
Can you hear
Okay,
us?
yes, I can. Yay.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
I have no idea what just happened, honestly. Okay.
What was your question? You asked about Esperanto. That was
Okay.
my
Yes. Tell me about Esperanto. Who knows about Esperanto?
Yes, I can tell you about it.
Do so.
So Ludwig Zamenhof, he was born in a small Polish town where it was kind of split in four places. Like there were groups of people that spoke German, Russian, Hebrew, and only Polish. And you saw that the primary cause for a lot of people's strife and troubles is miscommunication. And he thought if a universal language was created, this problem it wouldn't arise and there would be world peace. And so he wanted to develop a international language, and while doing so, he made sure it was as easy and simple to understand, so more people would adopt it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And can you give us some examples of, like, what did he use as a source material? How was the language developed? What was the strategy?
sure. He used German, French, Russian, English and Polish as the roots of it, and he used the Latin alphabet to base the Esperanto alphabet with only 6 changes, which were included with diacritics, which are also accents. There's only one single definite article in the language, la, and to change between verb, adverb, noun, and adjective, you simply get a root word and you change the last letter, which, if you want to change a word from a noun to a adjective, so nouns in Esperanto are visible by O endings. So for example, la amico, which means the friend. So if you wanted to change it to an adjective, it would be la amica, which would be like the friends, kind of, if I'm
Okay,
understanding that right.
that's interesting.
However, that didn't help him spread his language to becoming the international language he dreamed it would be.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Esperanto. Then we've got, we've got international communication. It's for the purpose of creating this international communication. Linguistic experimentation. It's to have fun. I think I spoke about that. Coding and secrecy. Pedagogical tool. Okay? So if we're studying linguistics or anthropology, we can create conlangs to help students understand the complexities and nuances of natural languages. That's why I'm having you do the case study on a natural language, because on a created language, on a conlang, because it's going to take you long to create your own conlang. So I thought you could study one that already exists, and in doing so, you can look at the nuances of natural languages. I gave you the link, I think, somewhere to the MIT course, which you can go check out. If not, I will post it on. Let me just check. Yeah, I did give you the course in the chat on how to construct languages. Okay. So we're going to watch a quick video about... Wait, what is the time? Yes. We're going to watch a quick video about Old English and German. And then we're gonna discuss that quick. Boop. Give me a sec. I just need to share the right thing. And I think I'm also gonna just send you guys a link so that we don't have like the glitchiness as we sometimes have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So actually you go watch it and then I'm gonna play it just so that we have it for the recording, okay?
Alright.
Willkommen to Ecolinguist. Heudai specić on English mit Fernando and Erik, the Theudisch spekan, and Moritz, the Theudisch and Frisch speaks. I myself am a native English speaker. I understand a little bit of German, but I don't expect to understand very much in this video, and I have a YouTube channel where I discuss topics about historical stages of English. And would everybody else like to introduce themselves as well?
Hi, ich bin Fernando, ich komme aus dem wunderschönen Allgäu und studiere gerade pharmazeutische Bioprozesstechnik in München.
Moin, ik ben Moritz. Ik ben ook van Duitsland, maar ik snagge ook Fries en Duits. Duits is mijn moederspraak. En ik snagge mijn Ulla-spraak, Germanische spraak. En ik studeer spraakwetenschappen aan de Universität in Kiel.
Moin, ich bin Erik, ich komme aus Hamburg in Norddeutschland und ich spreche Deutsch und Englisch.
First of all, we're going to go through 3 different words in Old English. I'm going to present 3 clues. I'm not going to tell you the word, and from the clues you have to work out what the word is, and you can respond in your own languages. And then afterwards we'll have a bit of discussion in English, if that's okay, because my German is not that good. So the first word, he wunas on walde, he hath cloa on his fortum, he rarath hludliche. Let me know if you'd like me to repeat anything.
Yes, please.
Repeat the clues, okay. He wunath on walde, he hath cloa on his fortum, he rarath hludliche.
Can you maybe repeat the last sentence once?
He rarath hludliche. Let me know when you're all ready, and then we can maybe send them all at the same time, if that makes sense. Okay, send to chat. Okay, so Fernando, you guessed.
So what I understood, it was in German, wohnt im Wald und hat Clown an den Pfoten. That is what it sounded like to me in the first 2 sentences. So I was not really sure which animal, but around here we only have wolves left. So I put wolves, but also could have been a bear, for example.
Okay, that's very good. Eric, I don't actually know what that means. Lux.
Lux is, I think, links in English.
Ah, okay.
I also understood wohnt im Wald or something like that, and has claws on his front legs or something. Er hat irgendwie Krallen auf seinen Vorderbeinen, habe ich verstanden. Den dritten Satz habe ich gar nicht verstanden, da hatte ich überhaupt keine Idee. Und ja, das einzige Tier, was mir irgendwie spontan mit Krallen einfiel, war irgendwie ein Luchs. Ich weiß auch nicht wieso. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob die wirklich in Deutschland oder England leben, aber ja, das fiel mir so ein.
The third sentence was actually the one I was expecting people to have difficulty with, because I'm not sure if they're I'm not sure if the words have German cognates. But Moritz, sorry.
Yes, I didn't understand the last sentence at all. But I thought the first one was with an animal living in the wild. So my association wasn't directly to the forest, but more like in general. And I thought about Old English in a more medieval setting, and I thought about heraldics, and yeah. So my guess is the lion, which would be der Löwe in German and de Löw in Frisian. But I think the things that I understand were very broad, so it could have been a bear, a wolf. Yeah.
Well, actually, I now realise that I didn't make the clues specific enough, because all of the answers actually are correct based on the clues. What I was going for was better, which is bear, and that's cognate with German bear, and I'm not sure what the Frisian word for that would be.
Probably something similar.
Okay.
Bear.
Okay,
but
cool.
Written very differently.
That was the only response I understood most of was Eric's, and you got the first two clues basically exactly right. I think Fernando did as well, although I didn't quite catch the second one, but it sounded like you got it right. So you identified that Wunath is a conjugated form of Wunyan, and that is cognate with German Wohnen, and Wald is cognate with German Wald. And as I said, Rarian, which is the word Rarath, that's the ancestor of the English word roar, as in like the bear roars. I wasn't sure if there was a German cognate of that word, or a Frisian cognate of that word, so I was expecting people to maybe have issues with that sentence. But then the hlud in hludliche is the ancestor of the modern English word loud, so that sentence means it roars loudly. So very, very well done.
Interesting.
I think there may be a cognate, but I'm not really sure. There is a word for the sound that deers make in German, Röhren.
I also
yeah, it's very specific to that animal, so I'm not sure if there is a possibility of a cognate.
I could imagine that being cognate. I feel like that level of semantic drift is pretty believable. But yeah, I'll have to look that up afterwards. But I'm glad we found something. But I can understand why you interpreted wilder as being wild as well. So the clues for word number 2 are: he is swart og the rauda. He is swete. He is mit manigum baulum gemakkut.
Okay, I think we'll pause there. I don't want to watch the whole video. It's like long. Boop. Boop. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
So the point there is that, like, I just wanted you to see how many like things they have in common, and how related they are. They were able to like figure that out without any real background in Old English, right? Now, I hope you guys know when like Shakespeare, is that Old English?
No, I believe that's technically actually considered modern English, because
Yes.
that goes back to about 1600, I think.
Mm-hmm. So Old English, can any of you like read, understand Old English?
I'm learning to, so I can understand a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Old English and German are both Germanic languages, and they share the same ancestral root, which is,
I believe Proto-Germanic.
yes. So that was spoken about 500 BCE to 500 CE. Okay. So this connection means that the two languages have a lot of structural similarities, and they have a lot of similar vocab. Okay. So both Old English and German have a system of grammatical gender. Okay. So we don't have the gender anymore, but Old English and German both have this masculine, feminine, and neuter. And both have a case system. So they've got nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative. Do you guys know what that means?
I don't.
Okay, so I'm just going to. I'm making a note here to elaborate on this, but I'm not going to elaborate on it now. I will just come back to this at a later stage. Is that okay?
That's alright.
I just realized I'm not sharing with you guys anymore. Well, not the right thing. Oh no, I'm not sharing anything with you guys anymore. Properties. We've got our now your case system impacts the form of nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. I knew of a website that really went in depth on all of these parts of language. I'm going to look for it, and if I find it, then I will send it to you, okay? They also both use strong and weak verb conjugations. You know how they can be a strong conjugation and a weak conjugation. So they've also both got that. So in terms of vocab, they do have a common ancestor, and they've got a lot of shared vocabulary or cognates. That's what he called it. Do you guys remember he called it cognates? That's basically what it is. So it's not exactly the same word, but they're kind of the same vibe. So that is the same as that, and they both mean house. Okay? I'm not going to try pronounce things that I'm not totally sure of how to pronounce. So word order. Both Old English and German use a form of verb second word order in main classes, which means that the verb typically appears in the second position in a sentence. We know this, right? Regardless of what comes first. So, I run to the shop. You can't say run I to the shop, because then you would have to change your name to Yoda. And honestly, I don't think that it suits any of you. Okay, sorry for a moment. I was waiting for the applause. Are any of you trying out threads at the moment?
Not really.
Honestly, I'm so lost on what it actually is.
Oh, as in Instagram threads.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Saw it, but I haven't used it.
What I'm loving about it is that it kind of reminds me of Facebook when Facebook from when I first got it, which was like 2007 or 2008 or something. And I literally just posted random things on there. And I'm really enjoying how chaos everyone is being on threads. I had a random conversation with someone about using vibe as a verb on someone else's post. It was great. Because yeah, I also don't know what it's supposed to be, but let's just make it whatever we want it to be, I suppose. But that's what Zach wants from us. That we only use his social media platforms. Anyway. Okay, yeah, we've spoken about word order. Okay. So there are still some differences. So obviously you are aware of the sound changes. So things do not sound the same in Old English and German. Some things do, but not all things sound the same. So there are certain systematic sound changes that differentiate Old English from German. For example, the High German consonant shift, which occurred in the southern parts of the German-speaking region around the 6th century, led to systematic changes in the pronunciation of certain consonants in German that did not occur in English. So because of the changes in northern Germany, not northern Germany, the northern German-speaking region, because that's not necessarily, they didn't have these countries like we do have today, or not in the same way. And I think they were much bigger, right? The German-speaking region was huge. It was like very large. It was not German. All I'm saying is that I should not have said German. That's all I'm trying to say here. I mean, I shouldn't have said Germany, because that's fallacious. Well, not fallacious, but guys, words are not happening for me today. Okay, the point is that they had these shifts, and so German had shifts in their consonant that we didn't have in English. In English, and so the Proto-Germanic p, t, and k sounds in the initial shifted to f, or f to ts or s. I'm not totally sure how we're going to say this one. Okay, in High German, but remained as p, t, k, and k in English. Okay. Can someone tell me how to say this, please?
I'm not sure, because this is going off of Greek, but I think it's the CH sound in lo.
Yeah, that's what I also thought it was, because I was also going off Greek, and I was like, And I can't even type it because it's a special symbol.
Yes.
Let's just try. I want to hear what it sounds like.
Ka, a ka.
Ka. Yeah, we were right. Ka. So then we had our influence from other languages. So Old English and German have been influenced by different languages. And so because they've been influenced by different languages, they kind of went in different directions. Okay? And then they both evolved into modern languages. So modern German is a direct descendant of Old High German. While it has evolved significantly, it retains more of the case system and verb conjugation patterns of its predecessor. While modern English has undergone significant changes from Old English, and it's basically a new language. Like, you can't. The difference is very huge between Old English and modern English, right? But it's the same way that I understand. I studied classical Greek, and I don't know modern Greek because I studied classical Greek for literature, and I can figure out modern Greek, but it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that different, but I mean it's not the same difference as between Old English and English, I suppose. Yes. Okay, so we'll stop there for today. I want you to work on. When did I say I want your case studies? Next week.
21st
21st.
is what the.
Okay, perfect.
Well, that's what the Google Classroom says.
No, that's wonderful. Okay.
Just to clarify, the case study must be written out, right?
It can be typed. I don't care.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Just don't use AI to do it, please. At this point, people are getting good at AI, and like sometimes I don't even know when they're using it. But like, don't use AI because then what's the point? Rather just don't hand it in. You're adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will do.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, don't waste my time by making me read it. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of these things. Okay. I will see you I'll see you next week Wednesday then, okay? Please can you go to a paper 3, check out a paper 3. I want you each to write 10 questions you have about paper 3.
Okay.
Will do.
Will do.
Okay.
Cool.
And post them in the WhatsApp group.
Right.
Cool. Bye.
Yeah.